Think about that growth. 4 times revenue in just a few years, all thanks to fixing the visibility gap in code.
The real question isn't the tech itself. It's how you scale that debugging power across an entire development team without just creating new technical debt.
Welcome back, I'm Bella.
And I'm Michael. This show's scripted and produced with AI, built by Taha Baba, pulling today's stories straight from blog.tahababa.com.
If you want these landing in your feed most days, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get into it. Wow, Lightrun achieving 4 times revenue growth since 2014 and raising $115 million is seriously impressive. It sounds like they hit on something really critical for developers.
It really does. The shift from post-deployment fixes to real-time, IDE-integrated debugging seems like the necessary evolution, especially when we consider the visibility gap in AI-generated code.
Exactly. It's not just about fixing bugs, it's about giving developers immediate insight into the code structure, which is a huge leap forward for quality control.
The real complexity is the scaling. With AI debugging now a multi-billion-dollar market, the challenge isn't building the tool, but figuring out how to integrate it across entire teams without introducing massive new technical debt.
So the big question becomes less about the technology itself and more about the organizational strategy for adoption. How do companies manage that transition smoothly? So Qodo AI is automating pull requests for bugs and security issues across 20,000 daily. That sounds like a massive shift in how code review actually happens.
It is, and the real game changer isn't just the volume, but the ability for developers to chat directly with the agent about suggested changes. It attempts to bridge the gap between speed and actual human oversight.
That focus on human oversight is crucial. It stops the AI from just being a blunt tool and makes it a collaborative assistant instead of a replacement.
Exactly. When you automate that much work, the next big hurdle isn't the automation itself, but figuring out how teams balance that efficiency with accountability.
It really puts the pressure on engineering organizations to define exactly where the line is drawn between AI-driven speed and necessary human responsibility. Wow, that 96% growth figure is staggering. It sounds like the focus of AI spending is really shifting from theoretical training to actual running of models.
It is a seismic shift, Bella. Gartner is essentially confirming that the real cost curve isn't in building the initial large models anymore, but in the continuous consumption required for inference.
So inference is the new bottleneck, pushing organizations to optimize for real-time deployment rather than just massive pre-training runs. That makes sense for production scale.
Exactly. It's the difference between building a massive engine and making sure the engine runs efficiently on a constant stream of data. It forces infrastructure leaders to rethink their compute strategy entirely.
It really underscores that the maturation phase of AI isn't about bigger models, but about optimizing the infrastructure that supports those models constantly. It's a wake-up call for everyone. Wow, Meta just dropped Muse Glimmer, a 30 billion parameter open-weight model optimized specifically for autonomous agents. That sounds like a massive step for open-source AI.
It certainly is. The key takeaway here is the focus on democratization. Optimizing it for consumer hardware makes agentic workloads far more accessible than proprietary systems.
So the Apache 2 license combined with the hardware optimization really democratizes building these multi-step workflows locally. How do you see this changing how developers experiment with AI right now?
It shifts the focus from massive cloud compute to local experimentation. It allows teams to iterate much faster on building the next generation of intelligent systems without needing enormous dedicated infrastructure.
It makes sense. So the real challenge now is figuring out how teams will leverage these open models to accelerate agent deployment in real-world scenarios.
Precisely. The hype around agentic AI is moving into reality, and tools like Muse Glimmer provide the foundational building blocks needed to move that reality from theory into deployable systems.
We're diving into a piece by Antonia Swinson about the economic pressures facing charities right now. It sounds like they're really focusing on how inflation and changing donor priorities are hitting them.
Exactly. It's not just about budget cuts, it's about the fundamental strain on traditional revenue streams. She's suggesting that organizations need a genuinely forward-looking financial strategy to stay resilient.
So the big question is how they manage that tension, balancing immediate needs with long-term resilience. Is that really turning economic challenges into opportunities?
It requires a shift in mindset, I think. Instead of seeing the pressures purely as deficits, they need to look at how those shifts might open up new avenues for sustainable growth.
That makes sense. It moves the conversation from simply surviving the downturn to actively shaping their future financial landscape. It's a challenging but necessary perspective for finance leaders. I just read about this guide from Social for Good, and it really hits home about how much money gets wasted on paid social campaigns.
It's a classic problem, the disconnect between immediate calls to action and actual audience readiness. It all boils down to aligning objectives with intent.
So for charities specifically, it sounds like the advice is less about spending more and more about nurturing relationships first.
Exactly. Pushing a cold donate now, ask when the audience isn't primed for it is the fastest way to burn that budget.
It makes you wonder how marketers are going to measure that readiness in the first place to avoid those costly missteps. So, Anthropic's unreleased Claude model just made a massive jump in the pursuit of the Riemann hypothesis. It advanced the provable zeros by over a quarter in just a day and a half.
It's certainly a record, but the real kicker is the persistence involved. It didn't just find a fast path. It demonstrated that relentless processing can outperform decades of human intuition in this kind of abstract math.
That really puts the idea of AI persistence into sharp focus. It suggests that maybe the next big breakthroughs won't rely purely on human genius, but on systems that refuse to quit.
Exactly. It shifts the paradigm from AI as a tool for ingenuity to AI as a force for endurance. It makes you wonder how we train the next generation of systems to value that kind of stubbornness.
I just read about Meta releasing Muse Glimmer, and the fact that it runs entirely locally on a Mac or a single GPU without any cloud dependency is genuinely wild.
It certainly is a paradigm shift. The real kicker isn't just the size of the model, but the complete removal of the reliance on APIs and cloud services for execution.
So this moves AI agents from being just cloud services to being self-sufficient tools that organizations can control directly.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from massive reasoning to repeatable execution, which is exactly what local personal AI has struggled with.
That makes sense. For businesses, the implication is huge for reducing operational costs and maintaining complete control over sensitive data workflows.
Precisely. It's democratizing agent deployment by offering a path to integrate AI into internal workflows without incurring those hefty cloud costs or data transit concerns.
And for our final round of rapid updates, here we go.
Cloudflare launches browser optimized for AI agents.
Django shifts to annual release cycle.
OpenAI raises prices for ChatGPT business.
National lottery donations hit 8-year low.
Charity Retail Association appoints new CEO.
And finally, Anthropic embeds transparency watermarks in AI model outputs.
That's today's show, scripted and produced with AI by Taha Baba.
You can read the full write-up anytime at blog.tehababa.com. And if you want these landing in your feed most days, hit subscribe.
See you next time.